Hello students, we are going to start with our second chapter for class 9th physics, that is force and laws of motion. We will be discussing these mentioned topics. We will be studying about the force, that what actually the force is, and the types of forces. We will be studying about two basic type of forces, that is balanced force and unbalanced force. Apart from it, we will be studying about laws of motion. To start with the laws of motion, we will be starting with the very basic law of motion, that is Aristotle's law, and at the end of this video we will be studying about the failure of Aristotle's law, that what was wrong with Aristotle's law. So students, to start with this chapter, we will be studying about force, the basic definition of force. See, as we have studied in our previous chapter, that is motion, in that chapter we studied that if you want to increase the velocity of a body, you need to apply some force. At the same time, if you want to stop or if you want to decrease the velocity of body, again you need some force in form of applications of brakes. So force is always required to start a motion or to stop a motion or to change a motion. Fine. If you want to decrease the speed, you again need some force. Fine. Again, if you want to increase the speed, you again need a force. Now, how will you define a force? Here I have written, as you can see it, any interaction that can change motion of an object is called force. What kind of interaction it can be? It can be in kind of any acceleration. If you are pushing a body, that means you are increasing its velocity, you are accelerating it. At the same time, if you are applying brakes or if you are trying to stop a body, that means you are decreasing its speed or you are decreasing its motion. In that case also you are applying a force. So we can say any kind of interaction, the interaction can be opposing or the interaction can be favoring the motion of a body, or interaction can be pushing a body. Fine. So any kind of interaction, whether it is opposing or whether it is favoring, that can change the motion of object is called force. Fine. So this is how we can define force. And force, of course, it has both magnitude as well as direction. See, when you are applying a force, you will have some magnitude, that what amount of force you are applying, and at the same time you will have a direction, whether you are favoring the motion of a body or you are opposing motion of a body. Fine. So you will have a well-defined direction of a force. So force will have magnitude as well as direction. So we will say that it has both magnitude and direction, and the quantities which has both magnitude and direction, they are called vector quantities. So force is a vector quantity. So next we will be studying about the effects of forces, or what a force can do. See, as we have already discussed that force can accelerate a body. So as this is the first point, force can accelerate a body. It can increase the speed of a body, that is acceleration. Second, it can deaccelerate a body. So when even you are applying brakes, you are applying some force in form of deacceleration, in form of those brakes. Third is, you can change the direction of body. If body is moving in a particular direction, by applying some force, you can change the direction of that body. So that is the third effect of force. Coming to the fourth effect, it can change the shape and size of object. So by applying force, you can change the shape and size. For example, if you have a rubber band and you are pulling it from two ends, that means you are changing its length, you are increasing its length. So in that case, you are changing its size. And at the same time, you can even apply force on some object, and due to that applied force, the shape of that object can deform. So that will be the condition in which you are changing the shape of object or size of that object. So these are the four basic effects of force. So what are the effects of force? You can increase the velocity, you can decrease the velocity, you can change the direction, or you can change the shape and size of an object. So these are the effects which a force can impart. So next we are proceeding to the types of forces. See, basically we will be discussing two types of forces, that is balanced force and unbalanced force. So coming to balanced force, the force which is acting equal and opposite from two different directions, that is called a balanced force. Now you can see in this diagram you have a box, and on this box two forces are acting. Both forces are F each, so that is they are equal in magnitude, but they are acting from opposite directions. So in this case we can say that forces are equal but they are opposite in direction. So such forces, they will be called as balanced force. Similarly, in this second example you can see there are two forces, this F acting in this direction and this F acting in right direction. So even these two forces, they are equal in magnitude of each force is F, but they are acting in opposite direction. So such forces which are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, they are called balanced force. So due to these balanced force, what will be the effect? As these forces are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, therefore these forces will not be moving the body. So these forces will not be responsible for movement of a body, because these forces are acting equal but opposite in direction. See, if you are pushing a block with some force F in this direction, another person is pushing the same block with the same force F but in opposite direction, then of course the block will remain at its position, it will not move. So we can say that balanced force are not responsible for movement of a body. Next, coming to the second part, that is unbalanced force. So unbalanced forces, these are the forces which are unequal in magnitude. So here you can see the first example, you have a block and the two opposite forces that are acting on this block are 2F and F. Now these two forces different in magnitude. The magnitude of first force is 2F and the magnitude of second force is F. But these two forces, they are acting in opposite directions. Now due to these two forces, the body will move. And the body will move in which direction? The direction in which the greater force is acting. As you can clearly see, the greater force is acting in this direction, 2F. That means this body will move in this direction. Fine. So due to unbalanced force, we can say that a body will move. Similarly, you can see in this second example, here you have a block and two forces of 2F and F, they are acting in opposite direction. Now in this direction force is F and in this direction force is greater, that is 2F. Now due to the effect of these forces, this body will move in this direction. So to recapitulate it all, we can say that the balanced force, they are acting equal and opposite in direction, due to which the bodies will not move. But in case of unbalanced force, the bodies, they will move, because forces will be unequal in magnitude. Due to unequal magnitude, the forces acting on a body will make that body to move. So this is the basic difference between unbalanced force and balanced force. So I think you can now write some differences between balanced and unbalanced force. So now we will be discussing about the differences between balanced and unbalanced forces. So first, in balanced forces, our first point is balanced force produces no motion. That means when a balanced force is acting on an object, no motion will be produced. There will be no acceleration or deceleration. So this is the first point, that balanced force produce no motion. And in case of unbalanced force, we have that an unbalanced force always produces a motion. That means an unbalanced force will either produce acceleration or it will produce a deceleration. And our second point is that balanced force, they are equal in magnitude. That means if two forces are acting on object and those forces are balanced, that means those forces should be equal in magnitude. Second point in unbalanced force is that they should not be equal in magnitude. That means if two forces are acting on an object from opposite direction, then they should not be of same magnitude. Third point is, if two forces are acting, they will be in opposite direction. This is the third point for balanced force. That means if two forces are acting on an object, their direction should be opposite. That is the third point. That means balanced force should be equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Now coming to unbalanced force, third point, if two forces are acting, they can be same or they can be in opposite direction. Fine. So in unbalanced force, the main concept is that displacement will be produced or acceleration or deceleration will be there. Fine. So for acceleration or deceleration, both things are possible. The direction can be same and the direction can be opposite. Fine. So you can take an example over here, like this is object. If you are applying a force F from this direction and another force, that is 2F from this direction, in this case the forces, they are opposite but their magnitudes are different. Fine. So the direction can be opposite to produce a acceleration or deceleration or to produce a motion. At the same time, if you have two forces acting from same direction, like F is also acting in this direction, 2F is also acting in this direction, in this case also the object will move, but in this case the direction of force is same. Fine. So same direction of force is always possible to produce a motion inside a body. So these are the three basic differences between balanced force and unbalanced force. After the two categories of force, we are coming to our next topic, that is laws of motion. So in laws of motion, we will be studying three laws of motion. First, we will be studying about Aristotle's law. Second, we will be studying about Galileo's laws of motion. And third and final, we will be studying about Newton's law of motion. Fine. So to start with the laws of motion, we are starting with Aristotle's law of uniform motion. So according to this law, as the statement is written over here, an external force is required to keep a body in uniform motion. So according to this definition, if you want a body to move in a uniform motion means its velocity or its speed should not change. That is what uniform motion is. So according to this law, if you want a body to move in a uniform motion, an external force is always required. So this is the Aristotle's law of uniform motion. For example, to explain this Aristotle law of uniform motion, you can take up an example. Like suppose you are pulling a box, it is tied to a thread and you are pulling it. Fine. So if you want that box to move with a uniform speed, you have to keep applying the force, you have to keep pulling it. So this is the first and basic law of motion. But in this law, there are some disadvantages, or there is a limitation of this law, and that limitation is, if you are pulling a box with some force and suddenly if you stop pulling it, the box will, of course it will stop. The box is stopping because some other external force that is opposing it, and that external force is force of friction. So the failure of Aristotle law is that it didn't explain the scenario when there is no opposing force. See, it is okay that if we stop pushing or pulling an object, that object will stop moving. It will not be moving in the uniform motion. But the reason is why it is stopping. It is stopping because of some opposing forces. Those opposing forces are force of friction, for external resistances are there. For example, you may have air resistance. So when you stop pushing or pulling a body, it is stopping because of some external forces. A body will not move in uniform motion if we stop pushing or pulling an object. So that is the law given by Aristotle, but its failure is it fails to explain that what will happen if all the opposing forces are removed. For example, the friction is removed and all forces which are opposing the motion of that body are removed. In that case, what will happen? The body which is moving will always keep on moving, fine, because there is no force to stop it. And Aristotle's law fails to explain that scenario. Suppose you are rolling a ball on a floor. Now, when you roll a ball on a floor, it travels to some distance and then it stops. The reason is why it stops. It is stopping because some forces are stopping it. Those forces are frictional forces and air resistance. Those forces are stopping that ball. But if there is no such opposing force, suppose you are taking zero frictional force and zero air resistance, then if you roll the ball on a floor in such scenario, in such environment where there is no frictional force, where there is no air resistance, and if you are rolling a ball, that ball will keep on rolling, that ball will keep on moving forever. So Aristotle's law fails to explain this scenario. Fine. So this is the failure of Aristotle's law, and with this we will wind up today's video. We will be discussing Galileo's law of motion and Newton's law of motion in our second video. Thank you.